I think part of the struggle and part of the excitement of being a musician is that you never know what the next day is going to bring. Is your hand sore? Is your reed good? Is your reed bad? Like, everything affects and changes day to day. And I think those variables just keep something exciting, even when you're playing the same show 200-300 times. My name's Anthony Rodriguez from Brooklyn, New York, currently live in Queens. I'm a woodwind doubler. Basically what that means is I play multiple woodwind instruments: flute, clarinet, saxophone, oboe, bassoon, the whole gamut of it. So I started in 6th grade. They put me on alto sax. Wanted to be a trumpet player. No, no trumpets available. By 7th grade, I was kind of already bored with the saxophone. Like, the school was moving very slowly. So they were like, you can start learning a second instrument by the time everybody catches up. So I started learning flute. So from 6th to 8th grade, I did flute and saxophone. Went into high school. That's where I started playing clarinet and oboe as well. In high school, they would do the yearly show. And that first year's show was Aida, which was an oboe English horn book, and I did not really play either at the time. So they were like, you can do soprano and alto sax. And I did, and at that moment I was like, this is great, I want to do more of this, but I want to do it the right way. So I started like looking more into theater and what would be expected. So high school, college, everything was music. My senior year of college, I actually toured internationally with Phantom of the Opera as the oboe English horn player. And then I came back, moved back to New York, and was like, I want to play theater. And everybody was like, you're too young, you're not going to do that. It's like, okay, cool, I'll move to Chicago and I'll play theater. So moved to Chicago, but clearly when you move to a new city or anything, you need money to pay rent and survive. So I picked up a temp job that was at a law firm. And through that temp job, just kept getting promoted and promoted until I ended up as a patent prosecution docket clerk, which salary was great, loved everything about it. I was still doing shows at night, so I was really like running myself ragged for like 4 or 5 years. And then basically it came to a point where I felt like I had to leave the job to be better. I didn't have enough time to practice. I was just kind of surviving at both things. And I got an email one day saying, hey, we're doing the first national tour of SpongeBob. Would you like to be the reed player? And I said, that is absolutely ridiculous. Let's do it. So this is my tenor sax. This is a Selmer Mark VI, 1975. So one of the last years where Selmer was making the Mark VI model. This horn had actually, I had just bought a matching alto one for this, and while the alto one was getting fixed, my repair guy calls me and he said, I just had a customer pass away and his family wants to sell his instruments to a musician. He has this tenor that I think would be perfect for you. And in that moment I said, Paul, I just spent about $7 grand, I don't have that money. And he said, okay, just let me know what you could spend, hypothetically. And I was like, okay, here's the number, they're not gonna say yes. And then about 2-3 weeks go by, and he calls me and he said, hey, I'm just gonna have you Venmo me X amount of money. And I was like, okay, for what, the repair of the other saxophone? He's like, no, the family wants to give you the saxophone. For a ridiculous deal, we then had this completely overhauled. I mean, this is still original lacquer. It looks basically brand new. There's not many tenors or saxophones in general that people like go for in a certain vintage or year, and this is like the one. Could not be happier. And also this one has played, I took it on the road for a little and then realized I don't want to destroy it that badly, but this has played on Broadway a couple times for a couple shows. A lot of people do like custom things. A lot of times they'll use cork. I thought cork was kind of ugly, especially for a saxophone that looks this nice. So Music Medic makes these little palm risers that you basically epoxy on. And my alto, my tenor both have a matching one for this, called New York Blue is actually the color. The body itself, the keys on it, everything is still original. Especially in my world, because I do so much as a woodwind player, and I also play like some keyboard, I've like music directed some shows, I always come in with the mindset of what is the music director looking for in this moment. So like even on my most recent show, we had some issues of how something should be played or how something should go, and the music director ended up going to me and saying, hey, how do you think this should be done? What's the easiest way to like convey this message? Like if you zone out, you need to pull back as a musician and like see things from the wider picture a lot of times, because once you have that empathy of like, where is everybody trying to get to, and everyone's trying to basically be the same goal. When you work with somebody and are not apprehensive or aggressive, like, I don't know how that should be played, you're the music director, you figure that out. As long as you're not, you know, a jerk for lack of better terms, people want to work with you. My experience with Clarion was actually amazing. Like I told you before, my oboe completely split in the middle of the show and I was on tour. I'd never had to deal with an insurance claim previously, and I was really worried, what are we gonna do? I don't know the steps. I don't even know if this oboe could be saved. So I ended up reaching out to my repair guy, who then reached out to the manufacturer of my instrument, and they were like, yeah, we can take this in, we can do X, Y, Z to it, this is what it's gonna be. I sent it to Clarion, and I think literally the next day or like 2 days later, they're like, here's the check for the quote. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. Here, dude, guys, take the money, fix the instrument. And the fact that I still play that oboe today, I mean, that oboe's played on Broadway, that oboe's played all over the country. It's, you know, still one of the strongest instruments I have. Especially because I have such a plethora of instruments, it's super important to have everything covered, because if this goes down, I mean, I don't have the money to fully like just fix this from the ground up or fully replace it if need be. And I've only had one experience with having to do a claim, and if that experience is anything from that claim, then it's like, why would I not have all my stuff fully insured and up to date? I think no matter what happens, if you want to do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else. I think that's the biggest thing that people get too wrapped up in, like, I need to succeed in this industry. I have to be this person. This person before me did it this way, so I have to do it that way. There's no rule, there's no path. Everybody comes to things their own way. Just have fun with what you're doing, because no matter what, in the process of trying to do the thing you want to do, you're gonna get better.